live, brother. Do it live.
That's right.
The way we do it.
Dude,
But
it's been a minute, man. I'm so glad to
yeah,
see you, man. It's been forever.
yeah. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you finally, wised up and got me on your podcast because I'm like a hit. I'm an instant hit, bro. You put me on here, it's like sold out crowds.
You always have been, man. You always have been.
It's a
Joey
good time.
Paladino, welcome to the Security Out Podcast.
Thank you for having
Joey,
me. I'm very blessed.
thank you, man, dude. I love having you on because it's about time you took a bow for all the things you've done, and I know for a lot of us in the time period where we served, like you were not only an influential leader, but you were somebody that always stayed true to who they were from the very get go. I mean, I met you as a brand new, wet behind the ears, like young Green Beret, and you were always the same dude. And whether you can say a lot of things about Joey, but you can never say that he never took the time to impart some wisdom, and like you were always there for people when they needed you, and that's something that I always appreciated looking back. And I mean, you've always maintained that throughout your entire career, dude. So it's great to be here to finally, so I can tell you in front of a live or not live audience, but will be shortly released podcast. But to everybody listening, this man is not only a great human being, but a great Green Beret. And I am excited to dive into what he's doing now because, man, like we have so many stories, dude. It's great to have you on, man. So tell us, man, how is life after retirement?
So life after retirement. So retirement's been great. I retired last May. We are here in my house with my family. It's been about sharing with my family a lot,
Yep.
and then it's been also growing my businesses. I don't know if you noticed, and 2 gyms, just one.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so we have 2 gyms. Tomorrow we leave for Pittsburgh with 25 athletes competing at a national weightlifting event for USAW, which is the thing there. And, I get to still, with people. They call me all the time. The guys talk to me all the time. We still have a big group chat. And, they'll call me when they need advice or, help or just to talk to me. Like, I think Jordan called me the other day, and Jordan was my former team leader. He's getting ready to take company command.
No way.
Yeah, he's going into 3rd Battalion. So, he's there, and, they're all doing good things. I know a lot of the guys that were on the team before, they're all going to be team sergeants now. So I'm like, okay, wow. So
time does not slow down.
No, it does not. Retired life has been amazing. There was a transition whenever I came off the teams, and I did do some time on stage there, and that was amazing. We did some craziness that I've never seen, of course, and a lot of dudes that came through the lane, I've seen them when I visit 7th Group to go to memorials and things like that, or just go down there for change of command. I think I went down to Blake's change of command. He's actually leaving 3rd Battalion as the battalion commander and going to JRTC, which I'm assuming he will come back and be the group commander for 7th Group. That man is an amazing person. And so, that's kind of how my life's been. I've just been kind of going with the flow. To tell you the truth, retired life is way more busy than I was on the team.
Absolutely. I have not slept in the last 3 days. That is a fact.
Oh man, you got to get some sleep, brother.
Post-production is a real nightmare when you're juggling multiple shows. But before we go deep into retirement life, let's take it back, man. How did Joey become a Green Beret? Tell me that origin story.
Oh man, hold on. This is a great story. It's a great story. So, I didn't know when I joined the military. I didn't know what Green Berets I didn't know what Rangers were. I didn't know what sappers were. I didn't know what any of that stuff was. So when I joined it. Actually, I was in the National Guard. I did some National Guard time there. I did like 3 years of National Guard time, and then when I decided to join the military, like it was before 9/11 even happened. So I was already a part of the military, and I wasn't doing good at home. And like I was looking at my friends, they were like, not doing the greatest. They're dabbling in drugs and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I got to get out of here. I got to get away from this place. So I went into the National Guard station. I was like, hey, I'm gonna go active duty. I'm just gonna leave. I want to go anywhere. And I went to the recruiter, and he was like, well, you got to reclass. I think I was like, I had 3 jobs at that time. I was an NBC guy, and then I was we all know about those dudes. And I was a heavy equipment operator, and I'm like, no, I want to be a combat engineer. That's what I want to do. That's cool. That's cool or whatever. I'm going to go do that. And I joined, and I'm flipping through a book, and it was an old school ad, and it was like dude with 3 tabs and nice boots. And I was like, dude, Ranger rolled hat. It was like, you become a special forces soldier. And I was like, okay, man, I think I could do that. Or I think I want to do that. Or I just had a picture, and it's like, I just want to look at it. It's like my motivation to get through this. I ended up going to airborne school after reclassing as an engineer. Went to the 82nd, and I was like, wow, this is the creme de la creme. I'm at the 82nd Airborne. Like, we're doing it. And I ended up doing a plethora of schools there in the 82nd. And, I made it all the way up to almost 6 deployments. And I was getting ready to be promoted to Sergeant First Class and take a platoon. I was already kind of like, filling that role. And, man, I've seen some SF. We were in Talfar, Iraq, and we had been clearing for days. And we came into the chow hall to like take a break and just get rest and refit. And there was a team that was walking in, and a sergeant major they were like in front of me. The team was in front of me. I think it might have been a 3rd group team, but the sergeant major stopped them outside the chow hall, and they're like, where are your weapons at? And I'm like, I'm 82nd, like behind them. I'm like, I got my weapon right here, but I'm looking at these dudes like, what are they going to do? And they wouldn't let the team sergeant in the chow hall without a weapon. So like, they're giving him a real hard time. Like, they're going back and forth. They're like, dude, I just came in. We've been on like a recce the whole time, like out here, like, just give me a break. So I'm sitting in the chow hall, and I hear this whole thing go down. And the next thing I do, I see this team sergeant carrying the 50 cal from the truck, like through the chow hall. And he's got like a 50 cal on one shoulder, and he's got his plate in the other. And he like sits down beside his team. He like throws the 50 cal down on the ground, and he's like, you can tell he's like disgruntled and like pissed off. And I looked at him, and I said, I want to do that. I want to do that right there, what he's done. So, needless to be said, I went to see the SF recruiter, and I was like, yo, dude, I don't know what that dude was, but I'm going to try to be it. I didn't know what a Green Beret was. I didn't know what any of that was. I was like, I found out, it wasn't all about door kicking, of course. He explained to me, like, you're a teacher and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? I think that's what I want to do. So, yeah, lo and behold, man, went to selection, got selected. Like, it was like in May of 05 or 06. I can't remember the exact dates, but got selected. Well, I was deployed. I came from a deployment to selection. I was training for selection, and we were doing the torch mission back then. So that was like supporting CAG as the 82nd with these black flags on. We thought we were cool guys. But that was like my 6th deployment already. And it was a 13-month deployment. So back then we did long ones.
Yeah.
And I ended up losing some guys too on that deployment. It was a real rough deployment, and I felt really bad leaving the team. But they supported me. My squad supported me because they're like, "Hey, you're going on to bigger and better things, and we support you for that." And I always, the same way I was in SF, man, I was in the regular Army too. I always bucked the system. Always stood up for the guys. Always the buck stops here. I was always that dude, like somebody throws a Kevlar at when we do the convoy stop, because I'm like, why are we doing this? This is stupid. But that got me through my military career. It was a voice of reason, even though it looked insubordinate at the time. I tried not to be insubordinate, but sometimes people get stupidity. But
it's so true. That's something I really appreciated. I mean, looking back and working with with Micah and yourself, seeing that ability to walk that fine line of saying, this is fucking stupid, this is what we should do, and not having that. There's a lot of guys that have a lot of reservation about telling the truth, and they just become yes men. But when you see a team sergeant that's in his element, that understands what his job really is, which is, hey, the buck stops here, and if this is fucking stupid, this is fucking stupid. And that's truly something that I love about our regiment. Leaders, especially our enlisted leaders, are able to do that. Sometimes.
Trust me, man, I had a lot of my fair share of pulled aside, like, yo, dude, you gotta chill out. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm chilling, but like, bro, seriously? Like, I don't know, man. But the good thing about it was through all that, I knew where I was supposed to be. And,
Yeah.
and when I got to SF, and I knew exactly how that feeling felt. And I was like, I'm right where I need to be. And, God
Yeah.
has a plan for me always. And he's always taken care of me. So I knew that, whenever I showed up, I mean, like I graduated the Q course and immediately went down range to Afghanistan. And during that time, it was like a hotbed
Yeah.
for First Battalion. We just lost some dudes in that vehicle rollover, from ACO. And
Yeah.
then I show up, and the day I show up, like the captain I graduated the Q course with, Captain Cliff, of course, he was KIA along with 2 other SF guys. And that was like the very first thing I showed up to. So it was like, all right, so game on. This is not the 82nd anymore. I don't have a brigade level element behind me. I'm now like a 12-man ODA, and we got to go. And I was on the B team, and I actually, a lot of guys don't do it. I was a senior guy. The sergeant major came to me at the time, and he looked at me and goes, dude, you're a senior guy. I really need you to help me on the B team. And I didn't fight it at all. I was just like, hey,
Yep.
man, I do what I need to do. Like, if you need me to help on the B team, I'll delay going to a team. And that overall landed me on 2-4, which was my very first team, So, I wanted to be a Halo dude. We can get into that
Yeah.
role later on. But, I wanted to be a Halo dude. I thought my dream was jumping out of airplanes and doing all this crazy, wrecky stuff.
Yeah.
But, I didn't know where I was going to go. And by the end of the deployment, I had 3 team sergeants fighting for me because I
No shit.
busted my ass and worked so hard on the B team to help the B team. And it was just, from there, it was just history, man. Like,
Yeah.
you see
Everybody shits on being on the B team, and it's not fun. It sucks showing up as a brand new guy. But if you have the right mentality and you go in there hungry to learn and work, you're going to come out of that time a better Green Beret, a better NCO, and you're going to be an asset to that team. Like, it's one of the greatest experiences looking back, being a young guy and going straight to the B team and having a team or an operations team sergeant that's like, figure it the fuck out. Like, all right, if you go stray, if you stray a little bit, like I'll help you out, but figure it the fuck out. And that's a big thing about being a Green Beret. You're going to be put in ambiguous situations and you're going to have to figure it out. And that benefits you on the backside when you go into a business, when you become an entrepreneur, because your entire career, you've had to figure it out. You've had to be like, hey, I'm the only person I can rely on. I'm going to have to get these answers somehow because I don't want to piss off Hooten. I don't want to piss off the operations sergeant. I want to give him the right answer. And knowing that, like, if I get to the point where I'm stuck, like, they're going to come along. They're going to help you out. And that's awesome knowing that backstory, knowing that's how you got your start, because that's how so many of us got our start in that time period where we showing up. When I showed up to ACO, we showed up and it was just like, hey, you're going to the B team. You got to figure this out. And as a young guy, reframing that mindset of like, oh man, I'm not in the detachment. Like, dude, you made it. Now you get to fucking earn your spot. And like you said, if you fucking hustle, teams are going to notice it and they're going to want you on their fucking team, man.
Absolutely. And as I recall it, you didn't just show up to the B team. You showed up to my team first, as a matter of fact.
No, I was a B team. I was a B team dude, going over there to support you guys. Yeah.
That's what it was. I forget because, I remember you walking in the team. I might have been an angry fox at that point. Was I angry fox at that point?
Yeah. It was 2-6, 2-4. And then for like almost a month, I was the only dude on the B team with Major Key as the company commander.
Oh yeah.
And freaking Doug as our warrant. And it was just like, yeah, and then Kirby showed up and a few other cats showed up, and it's like, all right, you help out 2-4 and 2-6, do whatever they need. And it was just like, you guys had just gotten back from downrange, and Eric and Ozzy, all those dudes. It was just like walking in and trying to soak up every little bit of knowledge from all you guys. And then being able to go to your Archangel and watch that whole process. That's where it's like, all right, dude, I want to be a free fall guy. Like,
oh yeah, I do remember. I vaguely remember that Archangel, and you were there with us. And then I remember going with you guys. Actually, we went to Archangel together, and that was, that was an eventful one.
Yeah,
do you remember that? And then
those stories are classified.
Oh no.
Dude,
No,
it's
but
so amazing because like being able to like go back through time and like look at the way the careers panned out. Like I was, right behind you in so many different like facets of my career. Like I was a young free fall guy. You were a senior guy. You were my instructor. Like everybody thinks that a Green Beret is just going to be on a team forever, and they don't understand like the intricacies. Like you still have to develop and you still have to mentor others. Like when you were a JM instructor, that was huge. Like you actually like coached, mentored so many other jump master and free fall jump master guys throughout your career in seventh group. So many of us like owe our entire careers to Joey being a great fucking instructor, dude. Like how was that like for you? Because I remember you being on 2-4, then becoming an instructor. Like that's a huge thing that people don't talk about. Like what is that mindset like? Because part of us wants to be like, oh, fuck, I don't want to leave this team. But in order to grow, in order to progress in your career, like you have to look for those opportunities to grow.
well, I think what a lot of people don't understand is I didn't leave the team to do that. Uh, so remember, that was a tasker. So I got
Yeah.
tasked to be a jump master instructor. So not only was I having to do team duties, like keep my job up as whatever I was doing on the team, which I think at that point I might have been the rear D for Bravo Company.
Yeah.
And I taught jump master school and still would go to work and do work for the company.
Yeah.
And then I would go teach jump master school. And it was rough. I mean, like, I did a lot of that kind of stuff too. And I did it for free fall. That was the free fall class, correct? I volunteered for that as a team sergeant just so I could make sure that you guys, I did it for the boys, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That's why I did it. So I volunteered so I can make sure that we had max pass rate, because I think I had 3 guys of my own in the course.
Yeah.
And then you were in the course, and then was I not your free fall jump master and your static line jump master too? Because I taught static line jump master. I can't remember.
Just static line. Yeah.
Just static.
Yeah.
So cool. And then during that time, I literally raised my hand because they needed somebody to do that. I was like, you know what? I consider myself a really good jump master. I mean, I'm pretty vast. I've been doing it for years. I mean, I've done it for years even before. Little do you know, like I was almost a corporal jump master. I failed the first time I went as a corporal. I had to retake jump master school, and it was the 82nd one. You know, it was legit.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, you had to memorize pre-jump, and they were on point. But yeah, so I considered myself to be a senior. I already had senior wings by the time we got to SF. So I considered myself to be a leader in the jump masters. Like those guys, I kind of laughed at those guys when we'd run jump master operations. I'm like, dude, I was like a senior jump master, and I'd ran like 10 C-17s at that point, like a large package week jump at 82nd. And these guys are messing up on a casa. So I'm like, hey guys, like get together. And I wanted to make sure that I carried that standard into the training that you guys got, which I think we took that pretty serious. And dude, I did that all the time though, even with my guys. There's a seriousness about the training we take, but there's also a human aspect where we talk about like coach, train, and mentor, and make sure these dudes are going to be the best that they can be going forward. Because guess what? When you get on the ramp of an aircraft, you're getting on the ramp of the aircraft, and you are the jump master. You're responsible for the aircraft. And like, I want you to walk out of school feeling like, hey, I can go do that job. Not I'm going to be scared or I'm going to be nervous or anything like that. I want you to be very confident in what you did. So I always tried to do that with my guys, like be like, hey, look, dude, I'd take them up there. Like when they would go to jump master school, I'd be like, hey, come here. This is what I'm doing. As we're in free fall, like I would pull my dudes that were getting ready to go to jump master school out on the ramp with me. And I'd be like, here's how I spot. Like, well, what if you can't lean down through the C-130 and look for the spot? I was like, well, there's this nice little hole right here. And I basically track where we are on the ground. I will look exactly where the spot is. And they're like, that's so smart. That's why I never see you leaning out of the aircraft. I was like, smarter, not harder, bro.
Yeah.
Little trick, man.
That knowledge, that institutional knowledge, and that love for the art of free fall is something that is really unique to like our enlisted individuals that follow that pipeline. And it's like, I've seen lots of great dudes, but the ones that are like second nature, like, and I've been blessed to serve with a couple of them on a team, like they live it 24/7. That's something that I saw in you as well. Like anytime like you were in the air with Joey, like you saw the passion behind like everything you did. You never half-assed it. It was never something that's like, you see guys just like any other job that it's like jumping out of an airplane can quickly become a monotonous duty, something that's like, oh, whatever, dude, I'm going to fucking gonna jump. And it's like, what the fuck, dude? But when you see individuals such as yourself, like that, take it not like just another day, like no, like when you're doing pre-jump with Joey for free fall, when you're involved in that entire process, you see somebody that's really in their fucking element. And I have to ask, like, now that you're on this side of the your life in this chapter, in this new chapter, do you feel that draw? Are you still just looking towards that with just kind of like missing it, or is it something that you've been able to look at and just say, you know what, that was an awesome part of my life, and I'm still like I'm chasing it in different ways now?
I think you hit it on the head right there, that last statement. I'm chasing it in different ways now.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing that I struggled with. It wasn't the fact that I was leaving the team or I couldn't do the job anymore, because I am pretty broken, bro. I am like, if you told me I had to like go back and be a team sergeant, I couldn't do it. You know, I have a
Yeah.
pretty myriad of health issues too, you know, like,
Yeah.
and there's like other stuff that's happened throughout our career, just being SF dudes. But I was so worried that all the stuff, because man, like I've learned so much, and I'm really good at teaching people like my lessons learned. Because remember, our lessons learned are in blood,
Yep.
and whenever that's very important to me, and I'm very passionate about it. So if I can cause somebody to not make the same mistake, and I get like I feel like there's so much more for me to do, even when I left regiment and I left, you know, first battalion and stuff like that. I felt like the job wasn't done. Like,
Yeah.
and you understand after a little bit of being out that, you know what, it's their lessons to learn too, though. Now you can prevent them from making those lessons, but that's the way we get better, and that's the way what makes us who we are as team, like seasoned team guys and good team guys, you know. And my life now, I use that. So, you know, I own 2 CrossFit gyms. I have a national ranked weightlifting team. My bad. Coach for a high school for free. I volunteer coach for the
Oh, no
local high
shit.
school. So last year, man, like, so I had offered to do it before, and to another high school that my daughter went to. So my daughter's a national champion. She's also a 2-time state champion for high school. And, you know, I'm very proud of my kids, of course, but
Yeah.
she is so awesome. She's 3-time national champion. We're actually going to nationals
Damn.
this week. She will try to make her 4th national championship. And I'm just pulling these kids in, and I'm just imparting as much wisdom about life as we're doing weightlifting as I possibly can, you know, because
Yeah.
there's a relationship, a human side to it too, to be a good coach. And what you don't understand too is you see these coaches coaching on the high school level, and they've never been taught how to coach. And I tell
Yep.
you one thing, I'm a great coach. And I told, like, when I came into the coaching world with the guys who invited me, I tried to get into it a few times with the high schools here. And it's very varsity blues style. You know, the high schools, they don't really like outside influences,
Yeah.
you know, influencing life or influencing anything that they got going on, you know. But last year, a coach reached out to me from the local high school, which I live in Milton, so the Milton High School, and he said, "Hey, would you mind taking one of my athletes to nationals?" And he's a stud. He's going to make Team USA. I got 3 kids this year that are going to make Team USA, which is
No way.
amazing. That's huge. And we'll be going to Ecuador, which I'm very vast with, you know, my down south travels. Uh, so, you know, I get in here and I start talking to them. And, you know, the first thing I tell them is, hey, I have a tendency to do too much. Tell me if I overstep. Like if I overstep, because I mean, you know me, man. I'm like, you put a task in front of me, I'm gonna be like, bam, do this, do this. I'm gonna go full team sergeant mode or full, like, you know, operation. Like, you know, I ran a company before. Heck, I've ran the
Yeah.
whole S3X in Afghanistan. Like I was the S3X in Afghanistan. So like I was running a countrywide operation at that point. So yes, I have a tendency to outrun somebody or overstep them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's not me, it's you. I'm doing all this so you look good. And he told me that's the one thing, that statement I said when we first started working with him. It was like, hey, this is going to be a beautiful relationship. And me and like, they're like my best friends. Like the two head coach and the assistant coach at Milton High School are like my two best friends right now. I coach with them every day almost. And like what I found out when I got inside there is nobody has really taught these guys how to coach and how to build a team.
Yeah.
And you can't build a better team than somebody who just meets you and they're ready to lay their life down for you. Like that is team building, right? Anybody who ever walked into our team room, like I don't care if you were an attachment, I don't care if you were like just going on that one mission, you felt like you were part of any team that I was in charge of. I guarantee that, because that's what we do. Because that is the kind of teams we got to build. Because when we're going to be in the fight, and Denny, you can vouch for this. I've been in the fight. I'm not one of those rookie Green Berets who just talk the talk, man. I've definitely been in the fight, bro. And like, you don't know how people are going to act. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if they're going to lose their cool or if something's going to go bad. But you do this so there's a security blanket that if we go out together, we come home together.
Yep.
And when we did that, it made the best teams. You know what I'm saying? Like that was how you build great teams. And I'm trying to tell these coaches, like, hey, listen, man, you can't just scream at these kids. You have to build a team. It has to be founded on values. It has to have a culture. It has to be something that they want to be a part of, that they're proud to say they're a part of. And man, I tell you what, the little bit I said to them has changed their whole mindset last year on how they coach. And like we've lit a fire underneath the whole coaching staff for all sports. I mean, nobody expected us last year. Our girls team, so I coach girls and boys weightlifting now, and our girls team did really good. We sent 5 girls to state. Our boys team, nobody's seen it. Everybody was like, hey, we're hopeful. We were runner-up. We were runner-up in the state last year to a team who's also in the same county. So, yeah, like we did it, man. And these kids are coming back and they're thirsty and they're like, hey, I want it. And I'm like, let's go, So that's kind of how I'm feeling those wild oats of not being in front of Green Berets anymore. And I still mentor and coach and call because they're always going to reach out and be like, hey, I'm doing this now and I'm seeing this problem. And I'm like, yeah, man, I remember that problem too. And, I'm sure you hear your fair share of things that go on in group, but, I do too. So
that's that Green Beret influence, man. That's that Green Beret influence. And it's something that I think can help other Green Berets and other soft professionals when they transition and help with that identity. What we don't realize is when you spend an entire career surrounded by teammates, helping teammates, being involved in solving problems, being of service to others, and then you unplug from that system, you're going to go into a tailspin. And one of the easiest things that you can do to help yourself is be of service to other people.
Yeah.
Start establishing yourself within your community. And I have a feeling, and I'm going to ask this, did you sort of understand that about yourself, to like, hey, the closer I get into retirement, I need to get more involved in these sports, in my gym, in my community, and start teaching and helping out a lot more to help ease that transition.
Cut out, are you there?
Oh, you see me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Did you feel yourself you were a little bit better at going through your transition because you were plugged in with sports and plugged in with athletes and being able to coach?
To tell you the truth, Cap, I didn't. It happened to me a little late. It happened to you guys. I was helping you and Eric whenever you guys were struggling really bad.
Yeah.
And I was trying to understand it to myself because I knew it was coming for me. I knew it was like a silent little demon that was gonna creep up on me. When I left 7th group, when I left the team, I had a really hard time, man. Like things got really dark. And I started having an Afghanistan trip, the 2019 trip. I started having, and I was keeping it very quiet. Like I was starting to like have panic attacks. I didn't know what I was keeping it quiet because I had no clue what they were.
Yeah.
No clue. And then, I remember talking to Kamichek a few times and he was like straight up, hey dude, like your heart's fine. Everything's good. I think it's stress. And I was like, I put it off and put it off, and I made it through the trip, which was, of course, a rough trip.
Yeah.
So, so I get home, we get on the B team, and I kind of mellow out a little bit. And then I did my B team time for almost like a year and a half there. And yeah, man, I left, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it was
Yeah.
really bad. And I was away from my family. My family stayed here in Florida, and I was up there teaching Robin Sage, and we were out scouting the lane or something like that. And I was like, I told my assistant instructor, man, he actually was the lead for the instructor. I was actually coming to be the master sergeant for the lane. And I told him, I was like, hey, man, we got to go to heart attack. I'm having a heart attack. You got to take me to the hospital. And Marshall Finnegan was my commander.
Oh, no shit.
Robin Sage. Yeah, he was. And he called him. And I was like, hey, I don't think I'm having a heart attack. And it was a straight panic attack, man. It was a straight panic attack. And it was so bad. I was for like 6 months. I felt desperately alone, and everybody's telling me you're gonna be okay, and I was like, no, there's something wrong, and it got really bad, dude. It was like I was like, I don't know what's going on with my body, and it's like I don't even want to be alive if I got to deal with what this is going on.
Yeah.
And luckily, man, my wife was a solid rock through all that. She was the only thing that could calm me down and kind of say, hey, everything's going to be okay. Like, you're going to be fine. And I tried to listen to her, but inside everybody's telling me it's okay, and it's like I don't know what's going on, and I had to get help, and I got help, and some of the help was I medically retired from the military because the SOCOM commander, not the SOCOM commander, but the what's the SOC C commander, the dude over the medical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He seen me and we had to talk about this, and he was like, hey, I'm putting you out of the Army, dude. Like, it's time. And at that point, 28 years, I was like, I've done enough.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of trucking along. And he's like, no, man, like, you are really messed up. And they get into a myriad of all the issues I have, of course. And they're like, okay, man, like, it's time to separate ways. And once we got home, I still battled with it a little bit, but being at home kind of leveled me back out. And then pouring my heart and soul into other things, that's when we get into the answer to your question. That was kind of the thing I was missing. Do you understand what I'm saying? That helped me kind of like plane out. And luckily, I still feel it inside a little bit sometimes. I can kind of like fight it off pretty good. But for the most part, it's gone because, I've submerged myself into helping others. And another thing is, whenever we're talking about the transition for the military, I didn't realize that this was going to be something that I was going to have to deal with. But I thought about what I was going to do when I got out, when I was still on 2-4 back in the day, and I got a bonus.
Yeah.
So remember, my CrossFit gym's been in business for 13 years, bro. So I was a box when I started that gym.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until 3 years into that business when I realized, like, I did the same thing that we did as First Battalion. You remember when we went through the transition and we wrote the culture statement for First Battalion? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I had done that before we even did that. So that's why I bought into the culture statement so much. And it's a funny story about the culture statement. I bet you can remember it too. But, I'd already done that for myself as far as like setting my core values. And my number one core value that has been the entire time, and it bled into my military career, and it also bleeds into everything I do today, is help first. Like, help everybody you come in contact with, no matter what. Like, if you come to me with an issue, and I mean, you can attest with this, I'm going to drop what I'm doing right there, and I'm going to look you in the face and be like, what can I do? What can we do to help? You know what I'm saying? I've always tried to stick with that, man, the whole time. And once I did that and started, being like a selfless servant, like kind of like thing, like not really like, just being like a leader servant, basically is what it's called, a leader servant. My whole life changed. It's like I started helping people, and now I take pride in that. I take pride in the fact that, like, everybody that comes in contact with me, I'm gonna try to give them something that they can take away with them and help them, and that kind of is how I made that transition to what I'm doing now, or got me on this path that I am now. So I was kind of preparing before I even knew that, because I knew when the military was done with me, it was done. Like
Oh
once
yeah.
the team's done, hey, the big green army keeps rolling along, man. It's in the song,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna keep going. Like, you always think when you're a team guy that, like, you're irreplaceable, or when you're a team sergeant, you're irreplaceable, or when you're a fox, you're irreplaceable, or when you're this job. But I'm sorry, you're replaceable. Period. They
Yeah.
just look at you as a number in a seat. And you feel that when you go away, and you can attest to this too. I know you can, Gab.
100%, man. 100%.
It's
Yeah.
like,
That when your time's up, your time is up, and no one, like, you'll be, if you're lucky, if you are blessed, there will be a picture of you in a legacy wall somewhere, and that's it. And your team is only your team for. And I thought for for so long that, like, if I go warrant, or if I do this, I can stay in the team longer. And yeah, you can do that, and you will stay on the team longer. But the team's going to change, and then you're going to be the only one left from your greatest deployment or from your greatest trip, and you're going to, in a matter of just a few short months, you're going to look across that table, and you're not going to recognize anybody, and you're just going to be like, fuck. Like, it's that endless summer thing that we chase, that perfect deployment.
yep.
And it's, man, I'm telling you, if you're listening and you're still in, and you're in the fight, good, stay there. We need soft professionals. We're going to always need you. But when you know your time's coming up, embrace it. It's okay to look at the unknown and be excited. It's okay to say, I got a wife, I've got kids, and I want to take this next chapter, and I'm not going to take the devil's money. I'm going to retire right at 20, or I'm going to ETS and start a family. It's okay to be excited about other aspects of life. We cannot be a warrior in uniform for our entire life in existence. We can't. You can be a warrior on the outside. You can be a devoted family member. You can do all those wonderful things, but you get to make that choice. You get to decide. The system doesn't. If you let the system do it for you, it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful when they say you're too broken, you're too fractured, you need to leave and go sit down in some hallway, in some room by yourself, probably S3, and it's not going to be fun. Don't do that. Take control of your service, of your time in service. Be proud and be able to say, you know what? This is my stop. I'm going to get out, because it continues to roll.
It does, man. And when you get out, you really see it. I mean, you see it. You see everything rolling on. And people ask me the same question. You kind of asked me the same question. Do you feel like remorse, or do you feel like you should be there, or you should, there are always gonna be times like, if we went to war tomorrow, I'd be like, oh my God, I want to be out there, like, kicking butt, like shoot people in the face like old days, but I am perfectly content with the career I've had, brother. I am.
Yeah.
Like, there's not many, and I'm trying to be as humble as I possibly can about this. But the stuff I've done in my career from start to finish, the 28 years, it's insane, man. Like, you could write books about single deployments that I've done. You know what I'm saying? And everybody asks me, when are you going to write a book? And I'm like, dude, I got too much going on right now to write any kind of book, But
you can get a ghostwriter. I'll help you.
And the thing about it is sometimes I'm selfish with my memories too, man. They're my memories, and they're my things to keep, and I like that, and I like sharing them with people, and I like sharing them with a lot of people. A lot of people tiptoe around my past, because, like, in the civilian world, they tiptoe around it because they know, like, they meet me and they know, like, dude, this dude just wasn't an average dude. He actually went out and got after it, or they tiptoe around it because they don't want to talk about it, because they don't want to kind of be like, oh man, whatever. Like, some of the kids we were having lunch yesterday. We were like having lunch, and everybody's talking, and I tell an Army story every once in a while. I'll tell a funny Army story. I think it was something about, like, I took a poop off the back of an LMTV one time in Iraq. Like, while I was like, I had one of my junior team leaders holding my hand as I'm pooping off the back of an LMTV. There's no moment in life that you can describe looking somebody in the face, and it's like he's holding me. It was like his young black guy too, right?
Holding
like,
eye contact the entire time.
We're holding eye contact, and he's like, his name was McLeod. I'll never forget his name. He was like my junior team leader as a squad leader, and he's like, "Oh my God, he's pooping right now," and I'm like, "Dude, I gotta go." It's like, nothing can nothing can take that away. You know what I'm saying? And I was telling
Yeah.
the story, and the kids are looking at me all crazy, and then everything gets quiet, and one of the kids is like, "So how many people have you killed?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Well, and they're kids, and like the other kids are like, dude,
Yeah.
don't ask them that question. Like, what?" And I'm like, "Man, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Yes, I have done some things. You know, I just like telling the stories, man, because I want
Yeah.
them to understand what I've been through too. Because like people meet me, and they're like, dude, it's like this dude. He's always been fired up. I didn't even tell the coaches at the school that I was a Green Beret until no, this is a funny story too. This is a funny story. So I'd been coaching for probably about a month and a half, and they told me, "Hey, we're not going to have practice today. We're getting a special guest speaker and blah 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 blah." And they told me who it was, and it was like a local guy who was a Green Beret. It's
Yeah.
same time as me and everything, right? And I kind of grinned, and they were like, they're telling me all about what happened with this dude and stuff, and he's talking to their football team and stuff, and I was like giggling, and we were sitting there. He's like, "Why are you giggling for it?" And I look at him and I go, "You know my background, right?" And he was like, "No, not really. I mean, I know you own 2 CrossFit gyms and you like coaching and stuff." It's like, "Man, I just retired like a few months ago. I was like, did 28 years, I was a Green Beret too." He was like, "Oh, my bad, man." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't really share it or whatever." But it was just it was a really funny interaction with those guys. I was like, "Yeah, man, it's okay. I mean, like, you're cool, man. Everything's cool." And they're like, so they all like kind of tiptoed around me there for a little bit, and they were like, "Okay." And then they start asking me funny questions. So it was really cool.
Some
Now they're
junior
like,
E6 with one trip. So they're
yeah.
giving a resilience talk. Let me tell you about my summer in Afghanistan. I did 4 months. 4 months at Camp Brown.
I'm like laughing. I'm like, dude, yeah, I got
Oh.
like 9 combat deployments, bro. I've been there. Have you ever escaped and evaded out of Argentina? This guy has. What's up, dude?
That story. Fuck you, that story. Yes.
Like, yeah, dude,
when
I
can
have an
you
international.
when can you officially tell that story? Because that's
Dude, I've told that story so much. There's no secret to that story. It
oh
was
man.
straight up. We got set up politically. That was a straight political setup, and straight up, like, we got seized at the airport. I got left to watch the gear, and I got a call from Fred back in the day. And I think Fred's still in, by the way. And he goes, "Get out now!" And I'm by myself in Argentina, right? So I'm like sitting there inside of the police custody, watching a TV monitor that has all our stuff inside of a Connex, like the back of a trailer thing, and all I get is, "Get out now!" And I'm like, hang up the phone, and I'm like, okay, Sear School Circle food. I need to eat in broken Spanish because we're in Argentina, and I'm looking
Yeah.
at them. I'm like, "Hey, I need food." And so, like, okay, I need to get with no, you don't need to get with your supervisor. As a matter of fact, my Spanish is very broken. So why don't you turn your radio down? How about that? How about you do that? Okay, yeah, he turns his radio down. We go get food. I'm looking at anywhere to ditch this little guard dude, the airport police with me. And yeah, Fred's calling me nonstop. My phone's ringing, but I don't want to look desperate. And I'm like, okay, what can I do now? I'm sitting at like his food truck with this police officer outside the airport. And I'm like, if I run, he's going to freak out. Like, the
Yeah.
Americans ran away from me. And then I'm like, okay, I need to answer the phone and tell them that they really need me at the embassy. So, like, I answer the phone, and Fred's like yelling at me through the phone. And I'm like, "Hey, you really need me at the embassy, right?" In English. And I said, "Why don't you tell this guard in good Spanish that you need me back at the embassy?" And he's like still yelling as I'm doing it. It's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, so I hand the dude the phone, and he tells him in Spanish, like, "Hey, I really need that guy back at the embassy." So I'm like, okay, cool. Well, I get back on the phone, and he's like, "They're coming for you right now." And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I'm trying to act as calm as I possibly can. He's like, they've issued warrants for our arrest. Like, it's bad. Everything's bad. You need to get to the embassy. And embassy is like an hour and a half away from the airport in Argentina, which I had no clue. Brand new SF guy, right? So we're like sitting there, and he's like, "Well, I gotta go talk to my supervisor to let you go." And I'm like, "No, you don't. You don't have to do that. I can just leave right now, you know." And he's like, "No, no, no." And he made me leave my gun in a backpack that had the op fund because I just did the currency
Oh
exchange
gosh.
in like the whole thing, right? So I'm like walking back, and every time we go through a security point, I'm just like, I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to get arrested. I'm going to go to Argentina and pound me in ass prison, and Delta Force is going to have to rescue me. It's not going to be good. And I get back to the room where I'm watching the kind of surveillance thing. And they're ripping everything out of the comments. And they got like reporters there. They're like noting. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. Let's not look at that. That's that. Focus away from that. Let's just focus on getting out of here. So his supervisor comes into the room, and I'm looking at him. Hey, can you turn the radio down? Because I don't want him to call and be like, hey, where's this American sitting? So I can come get him. And he says, oh, yeah, I'll turn my radio off. He turns the radio off. And I'm like, I talk to him, and he's like, okay, well, he's good. He can leave. You know, it's okay. Everything's okay. And I'm like, yeah, apparently I'm like one step ahead of these guys. Like, they're looking for me inside the airport. They don't know where I'm at. I go to turn in my badge. My badge says Danny Martinez, who was, I don't know if you knew Marty back in the day. He was old school, but
Yeah.
he was my senior at the time. And I'm like, they're like, you're Marty Martinez. I'm like, yep, I'm Marty Martinez. Here's my badge. Give me my badge back. And then I went out and I get a cab, and this dude's like, I built so much rapport with this guy. He's like, let me put you in a good cab. And I'm like, just give me any cab. You know what I'm saying? He's like calling a
Any
special
fun.
cab
Any
for me.
fun.
I just like, I'm gonna go. Just give me a cab. I'm going to the embassy. So he gets me a cab, and we're in the cab, and the cab dude is just straight up. Like, if we weren't in Argentina, I would think we were in like New York City, and he was Arab because he had like an earpiece in, and he's talking in Spanish the whole time he's driving, right? And I'm thinking that he's going to get a call from the airport telling him to turn around. So if this car goes in the opposite direction, I put my backpack against the door, and I was just going to bail. I was just going to like
Yeah.
exit out of the video, exit out of the cab, hit the ground, roll, and just make my way to whatever. We get to the embassy, right? My whole team is plastered against the glass. Like, the whole team is
Oh
plastered against
no.
the glass. And I don't have any money to pay the cab. And I'm looking at him like, I don't have any money. And Danny runs out, and he's got some money, and he pays him. I think it was pesos. Paid the dude. And I'm looking at everybody like, what is going on? What are we doing here? And Ross, that was Ross's first trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ross is like, we got 3 courses of action. We're going out in a carrier. They're gonna fly like a Mew over and like lay the CH-53 down on the embassy. We'll get in it. We'll go to the carrier. We were gonna steal vehicles and drive to the border and get to the other embassy of I think in Bolivia or somewhere like that. We were gonna get to their embassy and get out of the country. And then they're like, or we just go back and sneak on with the air crew. And I'm like, what are we doing? And they're in there talking. Like, you got the head dude, senior enlisted dude, or senior officer of Argentina in there with us. We're all sitting in a room. He gave me a really cool coin. It's a bottle opener. That's my first bottle opener coin. And we're like, we're just going to go to the attache's house, and we're just going to sit there. And we're at the attache's house, sitting and eating with his family. All the 2 floors in one house. She made us spaghetti. So we're eating spaghetti in Argentina. And the attaché comes back into the room, and he's like, you guys need to purge everything, like your computers, your phones, your you don't take them, don't do nothing, none of this. He
Yeah.
says the likelihood of you guys going to jail tomorrow is 90%. And we're like, what we're going to do is we're going to put you in some dip plates. Whenever the air crew starts walking up, you guys are just going to blend in with the air crew and get back on the C-17. And I'm like, sounds like a great plan, right? So we're there, we're in the van, and we're all like puckered up, and we're just looking around at our surroundings. We're sitting in like a 15-pack van, and we see the air crew, and the air crew's walking to get into the actual airport security check line, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. This is cool. Everything's cool. Everything's all right. Like, be cool. Just act. Don't be
Act
suspicious.
casual.
Don't be
Don't be
suspicious.
suspicious. Don't be
So,
suspicious.
so the air crew looks at us and goes, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, "Shut up." And we're in the line, and I'm the first dude in the line, right? And they get my passport, and they have our pictures at this point. They have our pictures plastered on paper. They have
Oh
like our pictures in the
shit.
airport, and the passport security dude like straight up like looks at me, and then I take my passport back and I put the op fund in the passport, the whole op fund, and I hand it back to him. I swear to God, and like he literally opens the back thing, and we just go around security, and we're going straight to the plane. No. This makes an even funnier story because that was a big deal. Okay, that I did that. So we knew if we got on the plane, we're on U.S. soil. Did you know? Did you know that if you're on a
No, no
plane?
idea.
Had no clue either. I had zero clue about this. Right. So all they got to do is open the door, but the plane has like dudes with MP5s like all around it, and they're refusing to let us get close to the plane. So at that point, I think like Hillary Clinton was involved. I don't know, some crazy stuff. I didn't know what's going on. I'm just trying to get on the plane. So we leave all our gear, all our weapons, everything. We left everything. And all we have is our backpacks with whoobies. And we get inside the plane. It was the best feeling of our lives. I'm like, like, thank you, Jesus. Like, I was definitely going down. We were going to be put in jail. Delta Force would be kicking in the door, be liberated like Sears School. Like, this is very bad. And the air crew comes down and they're like, what is going on? They're like, have no clue what's going on. So we tell them about the whole situation. And they're like, okay, well, they said they revoked the diplomatic clearance on the aircraft. Like, it can't
Oh
fly
shit.
like over South America. So we end up with no food, a whoopee, right? We fly way out over the ocean, like 12 hours out over the ocean, and we fly back in and land at Panama to refuel, right?
Damn.
Freezing, like laying on the floor of a C-17 with a whoopee, like freezing, starving. And we stop in Panama. We're eating like a Toblerone at like 2 a.m. Like, here's a Toblerone, you know what I'm saying? We're sharing, like me, Jason, and Eric are like breaking Toblerone apart, like eating it. And we get back to Bragg, like that's when we were still at Bragg, remember? And they like shuttle us like we're criminals into a van. And I'm like,
What
they're
did
like,
we do?
you need, yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand what we did. And they're like, so we get there to back to group and they lock us in the team room and they're saying, like, we're tired. We haven't, nobody slept. Like, we've been through this whole
No.
ordeal. And I'm sitting there and they're like, write sworn statements. Well, of course, my sworn statement's like insane because like everybody else is at the embassy safe. Here's Joey out lone and afraid, like running around Argentina. Like I don't even know what I'm doing. Like just by the grace of God, I made it back to the embassy and didn't get arrested. And my sworn statement is huge. And then Colonel Cathell, who was the S3 at the time, you remember Cathell, right?
Yeah.
He calls me into his office and he goes, "You gave the op fund to the customs agent?" And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I did. We had to get out of the country." And he was like, "Damn, it's a good call. Man, the paperwork." He's like, "The paperwork we're going to have to do right now, brother." I was like, "You owe me." And I'm like, "Yes, sir, I do." So we end up like on a press conference with supposed to be the president. So like,
Oh
here's
shit.
your former team leader, Chris Janassi, right? Here,
Yeah.
Chris. Chris, Chris and Ross are like getting drilled, and it comes down to it's my fault. It was my fault the whole time. So they end up pinning it on me. All right. I did not write a serial number for a spare barrel down correctly, and one like M4 we had. It was like a 2 and a 4 were reversed
Yeah.
because I'm dyslexic mostly, but but yeah. So they're like, it's Joey's fault. You're getting reprimanded. You're getting like Rass got a reprimandation and Chris got pulled off the team.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we didn't even do anything, man. Like we were a straight political ambush. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, man. And then I got Sears School calling me like, hey, can you debrief us on how you got out of the situation? Like, they post our picture on the Pahina Dos, like here we are. Dan King's like framed it. And now there's a picture at Sears School of a C-17. It says Green Beret team, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I walked into Sears School when I was at a Sage instructor. I went to a Liberation. It was actually our old NBC guy, what was his name? Kane. Remember Kane?
Yeah, yeah.
I went to his Liberation of Sears School.
No
He's
shit.
an SF dude now. Yeah, so I'm there to see him. And we're in there, and Fred walks me into the back room there, and he goes, "Hey, check this article out. This is one of our scenarios at Sears." And I was like, I know that guy. So I signed it. I guess Eric had signed it too, but I signed it too. Yeah, so it was pretty awesome, man. Like, that career's been insane, man. There's the whole story. You got it. Live and on
the crazy shit that you can expect. Hey, you never know. You never know when you're going to be put in that situation where it's like, okay, sink or swim time.
Yes, sir.
And you fucking swam.
Bro, the integrity of my booty hole was at check. I was like, no, son, we ain't going there. Like, I know prison is bad in America. Like, in a foreign country, nah, son, you definitely, you're like, no, we ain't doing that. No. I will not be anybody's bitch, Squirrel Master. I'm done with that, bro. Like, for real. But,
come hell or high water, we're getting out of Argentina.
We did. We sure did. Man, it was crazy. That story's fun to tell, and I hear everybody. I tell that story a pretty good bit. Everybody always asks for tiptoe around, but it is what it is. There wasn't nothing. We just got out.
Yeah.
I think somebody went and got a gear like almost a year later. It was,
oh wow.
It was, he recently retired as a colonel for the DCO, but he was our company commander.
Yeah,
Art was his first name, and he went back and got our gear, and
nice.
They inventoried it. It stayed down there for a year. All our team gear. We couldn't train. Couldn't do nothing.
But now it's been repatriated and it's back on soil. Yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Dude, so real quick, man. What are the gyms, man? And if anybody wants to get in contact with you, how can we reach out?
So 3P Fitness, that's our gym in Pace, and then SRC Fit in Milton. Those are there, and you guys can look up 3P Weightlifting on Instagram. Our team will be competing in Pittsburgh next week, and if you're ever in town in Pace or Milton and want to drop into one of the gyms, all the Green Berets, of course, get free drop-in fees. Bob Listow just left. He was a good member of the gym, and yeah, man, that's about it. You can find me on Instagram. Just search Joey Paladino. You can find me. I'm not hidden. I got no secrets.
Hell yeah. And if you go home and you can't find your mom, she's probably out with Joey. That's one of the greatest secrets that it's not so well kept. Joey's fornicates with everybody's mom.
That's for sure. Somebody, to the fact that somebody bought me a shirt the other day that said, "If golf was easy, it'd be your mom." I was like, "Yes, sir. You're darn right."
Joey, thank you so much for being here, man. Dude, I absolutely love you, man. It's a great honor to have you on, and thank you for sharing your story, man.
Yes, dude, it's a great pleasure to be here, and dude, I'm glad to see you doing so well, and I always follow and support your stuff, and man, just like, kudos, brother, kudos.
Hell yeah, brother. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you all next time. Till then, take care.